The situation in the region intensifies as the Chinese military engages with Japanese and South Korean forces. This major confrontation unfolds just as the United States and NATO militaries arrive on the scene, bolstering their regional allies and further escalating the situation. The conflict between these powerful nations quickly becomes a massive display of military might. Naval vessels maneuver in strategic positions, while aircraft take to the skies, ready to engage in dogfights and bombardments. On the ground, infantry and armored vehicles brace themselves for the inevitable clashes with the opposing forces. As the battle rages on, the world watches in horror, wondering what the outcome of this massive military showdown will be. The international community calls for restraint and diplomacy, fearing the consequences of a full-scale war between these global powers. Meanwhile, back home in each nation, the public reacts with a mix of fear, anger, and determination. Protests and rallies both for and against the war are held in major cities around the globe, as people grapple with the reality of this unprecedented conflict and the potential consequences it could have on their lives and the world at large. Military analysts and experts weigh in on the situation, offering insights into the strategies and tactics being employed by each side. They highlight the advanced technology and weaponry being used in the conflict, emphasizing the immense destructive power at the disposal of the nations involved. Want to see more? You can now binge-watch all episodes of our series on our website. Get started today and explore the potential of the next world war. As the conflict between the United States, NATO, Japan, and South Korea against China intensifies, the situation in Taiwan takes a turn for the worse. It becomes painfully clear that critical Taiwanese territory and large swaths of infrastructure have been overrun by the Chinese military. The consequences of this occupation are felt deeply by the people of Taiwan. They are caught in the crossfire, forced to endure the horrors of war as their once peaceful nation is transformed into a battleground. Civilians seek refuge in shelters and makeshift camps, desperately trying to protect themselves and their loved ones from the escalating violence. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Taiwanese military continues to fight back against the Chinese invasion, launching guerrilla attacks and employing hit-and-run tactics in a desperate bid to reclaim their homeland. Their efforts are met with both admiration and concern by the international community, as many fear that prolonging the conflict will only lead to more suffering for the people of Taiwan. As the Chinese military continues its advance, they work to establish a foothold and consolidate control over the captured territory. This involves securing key infrastructure, such as bridges, airports, and communication networks, as well as establishing a strong military presence in strategic locations throughout the island. The United States, NATO, Japan, and South Korea recognize the dire situation in Taiwan and are forced to reevaluate their strategy in the region. Military commanders and political leaders convene to discuss potential courses of action, grappling with the difficult decision of how best to support Taiwan while managing the broader conflict. As the world watches the tragedy unfolding in Taiwan, there is a growing sense of urgency to find a solution to the crisis. The international community, led by the United States and NATO, works tirelessly to explore diplomatic channels and negotiate a peaceful resolution to the conflict. However, with tensions running high and the stakes even higher, it remains to be seen whether diplomacy can succeed in averting further disaster. As the conflict between China and the alliance of the United States, NATO, Japan, and South Korea intensifies, the media and news reports reveal that the standard world order has started to unravel. The global community, faced with the harsh reality of a world on the brink of chaos, begins to increase individual and territorial military border security. Countries that were once allies now view each other with suspicion and concern as they prepare to defend their borders from potential threats. Nations that had previously enjoyed peace and cooperation find themselves caught in a cycle of fear and mistrust. In the midst of this new world order, smaller countries, especially those situated near the epicenter of the conflict, are left feeling vulnerable and exposed. They scramble to build up their defenses, fearing that they may be the next target in a rapidly escalating global confrontation. Meanwhile, the public's perception of the ongoing crisis is heavily influenced by a deluge of information from various media sources. Social media platforms are flooded with opinions, theories, and misinformation, further fueling the sense of panic and uncertainty. In response to the global community's concerns, the United Nations calls for an emergency summit, bringing together leaders from around the world in an attempt to address the situation and restore a sense of stability. However, the tensions between the major players involved in the conflict create an atmosphere of skepticism, making it difficult for the UN to broker a diplomatic solution. As the world watches the crisis unfold, a sense of unease and apprehension permeates daily life. People from all walks of life begin to question what the future holds, as they witness the erosion of international cooperation and the rise of nationalism. While the global community grapples with the reality of this new world order, the international economy begins to show signs of strain. Trade disputes and sanctions disrupt the flow of goods and services, leading to economic downturns and uncertainty. The world now stands at a crossroads, faced with the difficult task of navigating this new and uncertain landscape. As tensions continue to escalate, the consequences of the conflict and the unraveling of the world order reverberate across the globe, shaping the course of history for generations to come. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay informed about the latest World War III worst-case scenario episodes. Thank you for watching. To stay up to date with our latest releases, all you've got to do is follow us across our various social media platforms. We're talking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, we're there. Thank you for watching our channel. There's a whole lot more where that came from. Interested in binge-watching all episodes today? Head over to our website to access our entire media library using the URL link in the description. Ready to test your World War II knowledge? What was the last major battle of World War II? Provide your answer or response in the YouTube comment box below. Stay tuned for the right answer. The answer is Battle of Okinawa. As the battle rages on in Taiwan and the surrounding regions, China's military finds itself in a precarious situation. After engaging in direct conflict with the combined forces of the United States, NATO, Japan, and South Korea, the once seemingly invincible Chinese military begins to lose ground. The international coalition's superior technology, coordination, and tactical prowess prove to be a formidable challenge for the Chinese military. As the tide begins to turn, China faces mounting pressure to reconsider its actions and reassess its objectives in Taiwan and the broader region. In response to the changing dynamics on the ground, China's leadership is forced to make difficult decisions. The possibility of defeat looms large, and the consequences of a protracted conflict become increasingly apparent to both the Chinese government and its people. As news of China's faltering military campaign spreads, morale within the Chinese military begins to wane. Soldiers and officers find themselves questioning the goals and motivations behind their mission, and the human cost of the conflict becomes impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, the international community closely monitors the situation, with some countries beginning to reconsider their stance on the conflict. Nations that had previously supported China's efforts are now confronted with the reality of the potential global ramifications of a protracted and destructive war. Despite the challenges faced by the Chinese military, they continue to put up a fierce resistance. Skirmishes and battles continue to erupt across the contested regions, with both sides suffering significant losses. As the conflict continues to unfold, the situation remains uncertain and fluid. With the balance of power shifting, the international community anxiously awaits the outcome, knowing that the resolution of this conflict could have far-reaching consequences for the world order and global stability. As the pressure mounts on China's military, they make a sudden decision to withdraw from Taiwan. Observers worldwide breathe a collective sigh of relief, but it soon becomes apparent that this withdrawal may only be temporary. Just as the world begins to hope for a peaceful resolution, United States military satellite assets detect something alarming: a stealth submarine lurking in the depths of the ocean off the coast of a Southeast Asian country. The discovery of this hidden threat sends shockwaves through the international community. Speculation runs rampant, as analysts and military experts try to determine the submarine's objective and whether it poses an imminent threat to the region or beyond. Despite the withdrawal of Chinese forces from Taiwan, it is clear that the situation remains volatile and unpredictable. The United States, NATO, Japan, and South Korea must now contend with the new challenges posed by the stealth submarine, all while continuing to monitor the broader conflict with China. The question on everyone's mind is, what will happen next? As uncertainty continues to grip the world, tensions remain high, and the possibility of further escalation looms large. With the discovery of the stealth submarine, it is evident that the crisis is far from over. The world watches on as the complex geopolitical chess game continues to unfold, with potentially dire consequences for all involved. As intelligence agencies scramble to identify the origin and intentions of the stealth submarine, a horrifying truth emerges. The submarine is a part of the Chinese military's arsenal. Without warning, the submarine launches a nuclear missile aimed directly at Taipei, the capital city of Taiwan. This brazen act of aggression sends the world into a state of shock and disbelief. In mere moments, the fragile peace that had been established begins to crumble. The world stands on the precipice of a catastrophic conflict, with the fate of millions hanging in the balance. As the missile hurtles towards its target, the international community braces for the unthinkable: the potential devastation of a nuclear strike and the subsequent escalation of the conflict between China, the United States, and NATO. Want to see more? You can now binge-watch all episodes of our series on our website. Get started today and explore the potential of the next world war. Arm yourself with the power of advanced AI for video creation, high-quality copy generation, a diverse range of freelance services, top-notch hosting options, and the ultimate online privacy protection. Don't miss out on exclusive discounts and promotions. Sign up today by clicking on the links in the description. Your journey towards creating compelling content starts now.